Hi everybody! Hope everything's going okay. So my next special guest, I actually appeared on his show before he's appeared on my show. So a few weeks ago, it might even be a couple of months ago when this goes out, I was invited on the Wynne Evans show on BBC Radio Wales to talk about my children's theatre company, the Jen Biddle Children's Theatre Company, and everything we'd been doing during lockdown to try and keep ourselves going and all our charity fundraising and everything. And it was brilliant. It was a fantastic opportunity. And now he's on my show. So please welcome my next special guest, opera singer and Radio Wales presenter, Wynne Evans. Take a listen. Amazing. Awesome. So my first question for you is, where does your love of music come from?
Well, I think you've had my brother on this series of interviews, haven't you? So you'll probably get the same answer, in that our house was a bit like Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland films that we could put on a show, because my parents run a theatre, and so we used to spend a lot of time in the theatre. That's where my love of music comes from. My dad was a brilliant singer. My mother was a crazy theatrical woman, and so put that mixture together and you get me and Mark. It's all a bit odd, really.
So it was kind of a bit like High School Musical in your house.
Yeah, I mean, if me and Mark wanted to put on a show, we would just literally go and put on a show in a theatre. It was just crazy, really. But what a great training to have. What a great thing to be able to fall back on. So that when we went to college, we both went to the Guildhall. When we went to college, we were like, this is easy. You know, this is a doddle. Just got to learn to sing now. So that was interesting.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? When you've grown up with it, anything anybody throws at you, you're just like, well, I've been doing this forever. So
yeah, it was like, people would go, oh my God, have you seen Backstage? It was like, yeah, I could run a show. You know, I could run a show as a stage manager. I could work a follow spot. I knew how to do a lighting plot. I'd played in orchestras. So, you know, you'd literally seen a bit of everything, really. So it was fantastic to train. As I said, she was bloody crazy, my mother, but she was an amazing woman.
Yeah. And was there ever a point when you had all this around you that you didn't want to be on the stage, you wanted to be behind backstage?
Yeah, at the start, Mark, I'm talking about my brother, who's Mark Llewellyn Evans. Mark was the one on the stage, and I hated it. So when we'd go to the theatre, my parents would have to book 2 lots of tickets. One in the front for Mark, because he used to like to sit behind the conductor, and I wanted to be right in the back, because I didn't like the thought of the stage. So yeah, when my mother set up a youth opera company, she was very surprised to see me audition. They were doing Oliver, and I just rocked up and auditioned. And then they were like, oh, we should give him the role of Oliver. And my mother was like, no, he will never turn up to go on stage. But I did, and I enjoyed it from there on. I'm still not one that courts, like if we go into a pub, Mark's always the one that goes, hello, welcome. And I always kind of follow a little bit in the back and kind of go, hi. You know, I don't like that kind of public fuss.
Yeah. Okay. So the limelight still is a bit like, for you.
Yeah, it's been weird, because I became more well known when I was already, what am I now? Very old. When I was like 37 is when I started doing the Go Compare adverts. And so to get that kind of public acknowledgement at 37 was lovely, and it's the loveliest type of fame, because, you know, everybody knows who the Go Compare man is, but not necessarily, well, most people don't know who I am. So, you know, so it's like, it's the best type of fame, really.
Yeah, you can kind of do what you do without everybody knowing it's you, in a way.
Yeah, until they find out, and then all they want to tell you is how much they hate you. And can they have a selfie at the same time?
Yeah, everyone always does that, don't they? You know, they're like, yeah, your stuff is really annoying, but I need your autograph. I need people to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like that. It is like that all the time. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, so that was me when I was younger. Definitely not searching the limelight.
So how have you journeyed to where you are now then? What has kind of like led you? You said you went to Guildhall. After that, what happened?
Well, I was a tenor, so my journey was much easier than Mark's because there's not so many tenors around as there is baritones. So I went from there to Scottish opera, like Mark did. So we both were at the Guildhall. We both did the opera course. We both went to the National Opera Studio, and then we both went to Scottish Opera.
Yeah.
And then I became the principal tenor at Welsh National Opera. So I came back. It would have been around '98. Came back to Welsh National Opera, and started singing there. Some pretty major roles, like Rodolfo in La Boheme, which is, Your Tiny Hand is Frozen. People might have heard of that one. I did Rigoletto for them, which is, La donna immobile, qual più malvendo. So I did all of that, and I did. The good thing about that job, it was like a proper job. So one night you might be singing, well, never a one-liner, but not far off a one-liner, and then the next night you'd be singing a major role. So it was like you were a member of staff and you worked really hard. So it was a good way to learn the opera game, really. Even though we'd had 7 years of training, it was a good way of learning how the industry worked and making loads of connections with some really good singers.
Yeah. And what is it like to be in an opera? Because like you say, it's a lot of training and it's a massive sing.
Mm-hmm. It's like the first day of school. So if people don't quite know how it works, it's very different to musicals. So people know the musicals are 8 times a week. Some people know. Opera, you might do 2 or 3 performances a week because of the fatigue on your voice. Because we don't use microphones. So you might be in a house, say like the Coliseum in London, where I worked a lot for English National Opera. So you've got 2,500 seater venue. It's quite a big venue. Or the Albert Hall, 5,000 seats, and you're unamplified. So you've got to find, just to talk about the technique a little bit, you've got to find all the resonators in your face. So it's like you might be in your bathroom. You know how in the bathroom you're like, ooh, and it rings around. You have to try and find those resonators all the time. So close-up, listening to an opera singer close-up isn't always the most attractive thing to listen to. It's, what you've got to realize is you've got to sing over an orchestra of 70 to 90 players. You've got to fill a venue of 3,000 seats. So that's the technical side of the job. As a job, operas tend to run on 3-month cycles. So every 3 months, it's like having the first day of school all over again. You start a new production and you meet the new production team, so director, musical director, new colleagues. And the amount of times I've looked around the room and thought, would I want to go for a drink with any of these people? And a lot of the time the answer is no, because to be an opera singer, you've got to be slightly crazy anyway. And they don't always make the best people, but you become very close to people or you don't.
Yeah.
Because I've done a little bit of musical theatre as well, and I found that really hard for different reasons, because that's not in my skill set. So 8 shows a week is hard for different reasons. You learn how to sing with a mic, you learn how to coast. Well, we don't really do that. So when you put an opera singer into a musical, it's like, I don't know what to do. I'm knackered because I'm doing 8 shows a week when really I should be doing 3. So it's a totally different skill set. But it is like being a power lifter, I suppose. Musical theatre is like doing lots of low reps.
Yeah.
And being an opera singer is like doing, big weights but low reps, I suppose.
Yeah. And what would you say was your biggest achievement in your career?
In opera?
Yeah.
Oh, God. So hard to say, really. I've had the opportunity to do some amazing things, sang all over the world. I suppose singing at the Opera House in Venice, singing Rigoletto there, where it was first premiered, was a real high. Never been. Oh, I suppose as well. The first thing I sang at the Royal Opera House, having been there as a student to see Pavarotti singing and Domingo, and then all of a sudden you're the main tenor in the middle of the stage, and you think, oh my God, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. So and you think of the legends that have been on that stage before you. So I suppose, yeah, Royal Opera House, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, yeah. And what about, like, you know, people coming to support you and stuff? Is that more terrifying when you've got family and friends in, or?
I don't like it. I just like to go under the radar. I don't like people being in for me. I just want to go to the theatre, do the job, and leave the theatre. Uh, I don't, I party as hard as the next person, but I'm very I suppose it took me so long to find my operatic niche. Uh, it took me maybe 15 years. I was only a singer for 20 years before I stopped singing opera in 2016. But it took me a long time to know that my niche was doing comedy. And once I found that niche, instead of being the singer with potential, so you're singing all the lyrical roles, which is so egotistical actually, to assume that you're going to do all those roles where, the soprano falls in love with you, to the point of like going, actually, I could be the second tenor part, and you can earn more money as the second tenor because the people want the glory.
Yeah.
I found that I was working on a much higher level all of a sudden. I was working at the best opera houses in the world. No stress. I suffered when my mother died in 2004. I suffered with really, really bad stage fright. So I had to stop singing really for 6 months. And I just couldn't get on the stage. I just didn't want to. I'd have sweats. I'd have, be like terrible. And so taking that step in the right direction fitted me like a glove. So when I haven't retired from opera, I suppose I could go back to it, but when I retired, I was in the right place, doing the right thing. And the last job I ever did was at the Royal Opera House. So it was like, that's a great way to sign out, really.
Yeah. And how would you say that being a radio presenter compares to being a vocalist?
It's funny because my mate who runs Radio Wales always says, you're always giving to the gallery, you're always it's a much more intimate thing. And it is an intimate thing, but I just feel like I try and present on my feet. So I'm like, it feels like a performance. It feels like, well, it's not a performance because it's me, it's me out there and it's me doing my thing. And I'm an open book anyway. So I don't mind people knowing where I live or what I do or what my kids are. And I think if you give of yourself to people will give back to you, and try and make, you've been on my show, you try and make people feel as comfortable as possible. So they're like straight away, they're into, oh, this is just a conversation between me and like we're having this conversation now, I can see the thing at the top of the call that says Jen is recording, but you kind of forget all of that, don't you, after a while?
Yeah. And what do you like most about being a presenter then?
I'm quite nosy. I love Rightmove and Zoopla, and so I spend my life on Pinterest. So I'm quite nosy as a person. So I suppose it suits me because I'll ask anybody anything really.
Yeah.
Obviously you're sensitive to people, but I never back away from the difficult stuff.
What would you say are your top 5 records or songs that you either love to play, or if somebody said to you, right, what makes you feel happy, what songs would you like to play?
What songs I like to play and what makes me feel happy, I suppose, are two different things. I talk about this a lot in my life because I don't want it to be a stigma. I've suffered really badly with mental health issues over the last 4 years. My marriage broke down and it affected me really badly. And so I found it hard to be in a happy place. I had something called anhedonism, which was, and we all know what hedonism is, when everything is brilliant and fantastic and you just feel free. Well, I had the opposite, where I couldn't see joy in anything. And it made me really depressed and it put me into a very dark place. And I tried everything, but what worked for me was tablets, actual tablets. There was a chemical imbalance that couldn't be solved by counselling. So, I call them my mad pills. I still take my mad pills every day, and it keeps me a bit more balanced. So I used to play things like Empire State of Mind, Black Eyed Peas, all like, bit Frankie Valli, September 63, all that kind of stuff to feel happy. I've got a happy playlist. But I suppose music that moves me is things like Mozart, Laudate Dominum, Bach, Matthew Passion. I've got quite an eclectic mix, actually. At the moment, I'm really loving 1975, Gregory Porter. Yeah. So, yeah, I love the whole Frankie Valli period, Andy Williams, Aretha Franklin, all of that. Plus, I listen to a lot of opera, obviously, because that's my thing. And the other day, I hadn't listened to opera for a while, and it just came on the Alexa thing, and it was just, oh, this is quite nice. Yeah, I remember this now. It's quite comforting.
Yeah, amazing. And what do you say that you're missing most about being in lockdown?
Oh God, it being locked. I am now going slightly mental, I think. Like today, I either wanted to hug someone or punch someone, as long as I could have physical contact with someone. So I'm missing that. I miss my friends, and I miss going out for dinner. I miss the socializing of like just being out. I miss a draft pint. Uh, we've adapted fairly well here. My girlfriend happened to be here at the start of lockdown, so she was stuck here. So because she lives in London, and she's a totally different person. She's not in the arts. She works in business. She's CEO of a company, so she's great because she's really grounding. And my son is here. My daughter's in and out. So we did things like we would have Posh Thursday, where we would try and make the poshest meal we could possibly think of, and we take turns to cook. So we'd like Google the Ritz menu, see what was on the Ritz menu, and try and recreate the dish from the Ritz. We had lobster, we had oysters, we had mussels.
That's impressive.
It was pretty impressive. So we'd have Posh Thursday where we get dressed up and everything in a suit. Then we'd have like One Pot Wednesday where everybody needs time on their own. So it was like a one pot in the slow cooker normally, and you could just help yourself when you wanted it, but you weren't allowed. It wasn't. You had no obligation to eat with other people.
I like that. That's such a good idea.
Yeah, so that was nice. Then we'd have Sodded Saturday, where like anything went, and then we'd have brunch on a Sunday. And I think that was it. Then the rest of the week we'd rotate the cooking. Yeah. So. And we've created little zones here. So we're lucky enough to have a garden. So I ordered some red rope off the internet and some posts to create a VIP area.
I love it. That's brilliant.
And so we'd have a clipboard with names on it. There's only the three of us here, or the four of us. And some nights your name would be on the list. If you got in, you could drink Prosecco in there. If you weren't on the list, you weren't in that night. Then we've got the Go-Coupe characters called Geo. So we had Giovanni's on the green, which was like for breakfast. So it was just a table and chairs, but it made me happy.
Yeah.
And I had a little passageway, so I put some shelves up and optics and all of that, and created Freddy's bar. So we've got Freddy's bar, and then out the front of the house, because I quite like sitting out the front and seeing people passing. I don't know about you, Jen, but it's like, oh God, there's other people. So we've got, say again.
Civilization.
Yeah. We live quite near to a train station as well, so we could see people coming. So we had the piazza out the front. That's what we were calling it. That was another table and chairs. So we've got our zones.
Where has this advice been? Like we need sod it Saturday. Like we need it. We need this. Like honestly, where have you been?
Yeah, you got to do it. You've just got to do it. Otherwise you will go mental.
Oh my God. I mean, it's so difficult. And I think as well, like when your life has been turned upside down in a weird kind of way, you're not able to do the normal things, and like I've not even been able to work properly. that in itself is rubbish. Like, it's really, really rubbish. So then when you've got that added bit of like everybody in on each other, oh my God, you know, sometimes you just feel suffocated.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but we spoke about this on my show, didn't we? And it was like, it's just like, I do a lot of corporate work, a lot of concerts. And I think this is what I want people to understand about the arts. It just fell off a cliff.
Literally.
It fell off a cliff. It wasn't like, oh, I've had a few jobs cancelled. It was like, my diary is, I mean, I'm lucky I've worked for the Bee, but my diary is empty.
Yeah, same. And I think that's the thing, you know, if you don't try and keep yourself busy with things like this, and you know, I've been lucky to do some online tutorials and stuff with some of my children, but it's not the same. You know, they were doing concerts, we were booking big jobs, we were doing big shows, you know, we were doing a lot of charity stuff, and it's like, and then myself, you know, I was gigging places and getting stuff personally off the ground, and it's all gone, like everything. And you kind of, like you say, you know, what a waste of money was the 2020 diary, because you had up until March, and now it's gone, and that's it. And for me, I've replaced it with a journal so I can try and do something, because I was losing the plot.
Yeah. And I think the most worrying thing is we don't know when it's going to come back, and people are going, oh yeah, but you know, we can do this, we can do that. Without the arts, we are absolutely screwed. And so at some point, somebody's got to get a plan that will get us back into theatres and back into dinners and back into awards nights and back into everything that we had before. I don't know how we do it. But it's like, I mean, I'm on the board of an opera company, Grange Park Opera. And, you know, for us, it was just, it's bloody dire. You know, it's like, we can't do a 2020 season. And Joanna Lumley's on the board as well. And our feeling is that we had a responsibility to try and pay the singers, you know, because, well, what else can they do? I mean, sure, people can get jobs as, you know, doing other things, but these are people that had brilliant careers. These are people that had full-time careers that were not wanting for work, and all of a sudden, nobody wants to book anything because they're so scared. It was really, really hard.
And I think the thing is, like you say, yeah, okay, people can do other things, but these people have spent their lives training, working, spent, like, honestly, all the money that they have trying to get places, do things.
I mean, it's like, you know, it's just, I just can't get my head around it. And we have to continue somehow, you know, everybody's got a responsibility to continue the arts, because believe me, you know, and I try not to get political, but believe me, when we want to show off our country to the rest of the world, the arts is the first thing that they'll call upon. And if they're not there, it's going to be a pretty bloody terrible place.
I think people forget that. I think people are very quick to forget about these things. You know, you've seen all these posts, you know, try for a day not watching Netflix, not picking up a book, not turning to music, not, you know, your day would be absolutely miserable, horrendous.
Yeah.
Even people who claim that they aren't interested in the arts, you know, don't go to watch live shows, theatre, award ceremonies, anything. You still listen to music, you still watch, you still listen to the radio, you still, you know, read books, you still look at art. It's the same thing. It's all one big collective. So I think, yeah, you're right. You know, when you're trying to show off as a country, you know, you think of that, the Olympics and stuff, that was a show.
Yeah.
And you just,
definitely.
I know, it's so tough, it's so hard.
Plus, you know, from watching theatre, we get so much enjoyment. I love going to the theatre. I love going to see a play, or going to see a musical, or going to see an opera, and that really enriches your life, you know, and well, it enriches my life anyway. And people think, oh yeah, it'll be fine. But you even look at massive artists, you know, because of the way the recording industry, because I've been in that as well, but because of the way the recording industry is now, you know, artists don't earn money from records, so those artists need to tour, and so you won't even have those great, you know, what you think of as great pop stars won't be there anymore.
Yeah, I know, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite frightening, that part of it is, but I'm just fingers crossed it will come back.
If you could voice a Disney character, who would you choose to voice?
So you got to be careful what you do here, because you'd want to do the genie from Aladdin, but you couldn't do better than Robin Williams. So you got to back off there. So I'm a Disney character. Again, Woody. You wouldn't do it better than Tom Hanks. So where would I? That's Pixar as well. So yeah, gotta be careful. What about? I think I could do a good Mr. Incredible.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think that would be me. Or I quite like to do Gaston
Oh,
in Beauty and the Beast.
yeah.
That would be the one.
Weird, because when I was thinking about this, Gaston was the first one that came to my
Uh,
mind.
Great.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was Gaston, and there was another one. I can't remember what it was now. But I
Dopey,
like,
Grumpy.
no, it was somebody really like fun, and
Okay.
I think it was Olaf.
Oh yeah. That'd be a good fit as well. Yeah,
Olaf. That
yeah,
songs are brilliant. His the best ones in Frozen and Frozen 2. The
yeah,
Olaf songs are the best.
yeah.
So, and if you could be a painter, what kind of art do you think you would paint?
Oh God, I've got such weird taste in art. Honestly, I quite like modern art and stuff, but I'm in my bedroom at the moment. Shall I show you what's above my bed?
Go for
Okay,
it.
I'll show you. Right. Okay. I never do this, never ever. Right. But above my bed is Mrs. Slocum and John Inman from Are You Being Served?
I love that.
And
That's
so I have that above my bed. I've got such weird taste.
amazing.
This is a picture of Carmarthenshire, and it says, "Let's go and get lost together." So, yeah, I've got very strange taste. But yeah, I'd probably be one of those weird modern artists that nobody understands. And I think I'd only do that because it's funny because I've got an understanding of contemporary music. I don't like it, but I've got no understanding of contemporary art. So I just go, oh yeah, I quite like that. I don't like picture postcard stuff. I know that. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have it in the house. I'm trying to think. Yeah, because Mark and I have got very different tastes. Mark would have like landscapes everywhere.
Yeah.
I've got this big bit of art in the lounge downstairs done by an artist called Amy Salisbury, and it's jellyfish. It's huge. It's about 6 foot tall by about 5 foot wide. And everybody that comes into the house either goes, "Oh, I love that," or "My God, what is that doing on the wall? That is disgusting." I love it. So I just love looking at it all day.
Yeah. Do you have a favourite artist? Do you have somebody that you really like?
I suppose, no, I'm sentimental. I think I'm really, really sentimental when it comes to art. So everything, I've got another picture downstairs by a Welsh artist of Llanstefan, where is like my favourite place in Wales. We've got a little place down there that we go to, that we can go to, so we love that. And then I've got quite a bit of Cuffin Williams here. So, but I like that because it just screams Wales at me and it says everything it needs to do. And then I've got stuff like on the wall. I'm just telling you what I've got on the wall. I've got a lot of Spurs football shirts.
Okay.
Like so much, like loads, because I'm quite heavily involved with Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And so much so that my daughter says, "Dad, no more shirts."
Would you ever be in film? If somebody said to you, "Would you like to do some acting?"
I've done some acting, weirdly. Like I was in Stella. I've also done a TV series with Tracy Ullman.
Oh
So
yeah.
I did a series with her where it's comedy. I've been asked to do a play coming up in a theatre in London, a one manor, which I might do, I might not do. Yeah, so I didn't like doing the acting at first, but I think, yeah, I did the other day, so about a year ago, I went and did a week in Spamalot in the West End just for a laugh, did Lancelot. I thought, why not? It's such a giggle.
Do you have a favourite film?
Can I give you my top three?
Yep.
What kind of film do you think I'm going to like?
Maybe like action films.
Okay. This is my top three, okay?
Okay.
Bodyguard,
Oh,
number 3. Number 2, Top Gun.
good film.
Pretty Woman.
Oh, yes. My favourite film.
Yeah, I like a chick film.
Oh, I love Pretty. Have you seen the musical yet?
No, we had tickets to go, but obviously that went by the by.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love Pretty Woman. That is, do you
Uh,
know, probably named, yeah, my mum's like top 3 favourite films.
yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it. We when we went to my son and I went on a road trip up California last year. We made them drive us around everywhere. Well, two things we made them do: drive us around everywhere, like in the Pretty Woman shopping scene, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, and we went and visited all the houses of Modern Family.
Oh,
And every time we watch it now, because we watch reruns, we go, being there, being outside there. Except Jay's house, we couldn't even see, so we're like being outside the gate of that house.
And if you could be in any of the, like, if they had a remake of some of your favourite films, which one would you want to be in?
It's not the film. Can I be in a series?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to be in the thick of it with Peter Capaldi, and I quite like politics, and I would love to be in the thick of it. I just find it hilarious. I
Yeah.
just think it's hilarious. I mean, I know the language is terrible. My language is terrible anyway. I just think it is one of the funniest programs.
Yeah.
And we like watching in between, as I suppose, just the normal stuff then. W1A. We've been watching thing at the moment, First Team on BBC iPlayer. That's quite funny. Yeah, just anything really that's
Comedy.
Hmm?
Dave.
Oh, I love it, and I'm like looking for a new series at the moment, and I'm like, oh, where can I go next? Because everything, when you watch those, they're pretty full on. Everything feels so soft next to them.
Yeah.
Bit of a chuckle. But like, I love WNA is so funny because I work at the BBC, and believe me, it is not a million miles off.
I don't know about you. Do you like Peter Kay?
Yeah, I like Car Share.
Oh my God. See, that for me, like, has me in tears. I'm laughing so much, even watching, I can't remember, I think it was Goldie Hawn had a thing on her Instagram. It was like, get a video of yourself laughing, okay, and just share it with everyone, because this was a couple of weeks ago when we first went into lockdown, and everyone was all like, oh God, what the hell are we doing? So I was like, come on then, Mum, let's do it. And she was like, but what are we gonna you're just gonna put the camera there, we're just gonna laugh? She was like, that's rubbish. I said, we'll put something on that will make us laugh. So yeah, we put on Peter Kay's Car Share, and honest to God, is the ugliest laughing, but we're just weak, honest to God, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, for me, nothing beats him.
Yeah, no, he's a funny guy. He is a funny guy.
He is.
It's weird because some stuff really, there he goes, it's brilliant. It just doesn't make me laugh. I can't think of anything at the moment, but yeah, I've got a very particular taste in comedy, I think.
Yeah. And would you like to be in a comedy then? Do you want to do comedy stuff?
Yeah, I'd love to be in a comedy. I mean, I had a phone call off a mate called, his name's Rod Gilbert. Yeah. And Rod said, oh, somebody's dropped out tonight. Come and do stand-up, bud. And I was like, I can't do stand-up. I really, I can be vaguely amusing on the radio, but I'm an opera singer. I'm not a comedian. Now, that part of the charm is that you're not expecting an opera singer to be vaguely funny. And therefore, when he is vaguely funny, it feels much funnier than it actually is.
Yeah.
And I did it. Just had a couple of songs up my sleeve thinking, right, this is my fallback, and just sing. Because I've had a few gigs like that, not funny gigs, but I always try and talk as much as I sing with stories, and I've had a couple of gigs where you're like, oh God, forget this. I'll just sing. Nobody's listening. Nobody's enjoying what I'm doing. And that's where we're lucky as singers, as you might feel this as well. It's like you can always fall back onto that.
Yeah.
Whereas a stand-up comedian,
What are you most looking forward to doing? What's going to be the first thing you're going to do after lockdown?
I'm going to go to West Wales, and I'm going to take all my radio gear there, and I'm going to set it up in the house. And it's a tiny little cottage there, and I'm going to set it up, and then every day I can walk on the beach after the show's over, and it's going to be so nice. And then I'm going to go into the pub, and I'm going to drink my own body weight in beer, which, believe me, is immense. And since lockdown, I've lost 4 stone.
Wow.
Exercising every day, and I'm not going to exercise for a week. And I'm just going to drink and broadcast. That is it.
Amazing.
And eat 4 packets of Pringles a day. And I'm going to lick the flavour off, and I'm going to put them back in the tube when I'm too full to eat anymore. Just going to keep taking the flavour off the Pringle.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for chatting.
You're welcome.
Making me laugh. You did make me laugh.
Good. You take care, Jen.
Yeah, you too. Speak soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Wynne. We've now done each other's shows, which is amazing. So, lots more special guests still to come. I hope you're enjoying watching everybody. And if anyone's got any suggestions of who they might like to have on the show, please let me know. I'll see what I can do. Lots more great creative industry professionals to come. Take care of yourselves. Have a good one.